Wednesday.
Hello. Happy Wednesday.
We are here. My name is Barbara Ferrer. I'm the newest team member to Team MM. I'm going to be, obviously, I'm introducing us. Why am I nervous right now? I don't know. Well, I never get nervous. I'm usually a hype girl, but I'm really excited. We love team meetings. We're here with Jeremiah, our concierge. He is the magic to our team. Today we're going to be going over identifying a farm to become a local specialist in it, knowing your farm inside out, and setting up your CRM to create an effective marketing strategy, along with a little bit on Prop 19. So let's get started. Here's Marlena, the title queen.
Guys. Thank you for having us and thanks for being here. Before Jeremiah gets started, I kind of just wanted to go over this with you because it's crucial because I'm getting so many calls and questions on the transfer for prop. I think the misconception is sometimes they will be able to go through escrow to get this done. However, it's their responsibility basically to go through the tax assessor to get something like this done. Now, keep in mind, so does everybody kind of understand Prop 19? A little bit? Okay. So sometimes within the transfer, when these clients do transfer their tax rate over for this new property, it's taking a long time for the county to create it, make it of record. Okay, so they're going to be stuck in that normal tax bracket when they purchase that house until the county does update their records. And it becomes a little bit of an issue for that, that elderly client, because they are paying that extra amount that they're not supposed to be paying. However, because it does take the county, and what the county will tell us is they'll say they don't have the manpower to be able to create and do all of the work and then make it of record so that these people don't have to pay that higher tax amount. But they do get refunded. They will get that refund check. So if you ever have that client, just keep that in mind. That can happen, okay? So I think what's really good is this example that they set out, because I get this question. So if you bought a house a long time ago and your current taxable value for your home is $400,000, okay, and you sold it for $1 million, then your replacement property is bought for $1 million or lower, the taxable value replacement will be at that $400,000. Okay, so you bought it at 400, you're selling it for $1 million, but you'll keep it at 400 as long as it doesn't exceed that 1 million. Okay, so then if you go, but if the replacement primary residence has a greater value than the original primary residence, you'll have to pay the difference. I think we're all pretty much, we understand that. So in our previous example where the original primary residence taxable value was $400,000 and sold it for $1 million, but the replacement property was purchased for 1.1. Okay, this is where it comes in. The new taxable value will be $400K plus $100,000. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically you're paying the difference in that property value. Okay, so I think, and of course the 55 plus community, a lot of people are kind of going that route because apparently these are beautiful, well-arranged, amazing homes, and I cannot wait because I'll be 55 next year and I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm excited. So I brought this to you because I think it's important. Just kind of freshen yourself up on it, and just if you have a client that needs this done, I do have the county form that needs to be filled out. I have it for LA and Riverside and San Bernardino, but just keep in mind, it's something they have to actually do the work on, okay? Sometimes, yes, escrow will help you, but not in all cases, okay?
Well, you can do it too. The agent can.
Exactly, and the agent, you've been helping them? Okay, perfect. So the agent, your amazing agents will help your clients as well. So, next I wanted to invite Jeremiah up here because what our intent to do today is kind of take you through our tools and not just to say, hey, you have a farm, you've built a farm. The whole idea is to actually work on the farm. And we build Jeremiah builds so many farms for agents. However, when I will call up and say, hey, how's that farm working for you? A lot of times agents don't really start working on them, and they kind of leave them sitting where they're not working on them. Because I think what happens, there's a disconnect from creation to I want to target this farm, but what do I do next? Is that kind of anybody's situation with the farm? I got wide eyes from Joe.
How many of you guys actually use your farms? You guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I think it's really cool that Jeremiah can kind of take us through, and he does do a lot of one-on-one Zoom. So if you order that farm, and again, you need more help to kind of digest it, kind of go through it and look to see, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to start this? He will do a Zoom with you and kind of do a one-on-one as well. So yeah, let's get started, Jeremiah, and kind of take them through the tools, and then we'll go from farms there.
Yeah, no clapping.
Yeah.
We're going to start off me feeling very uncomfortable. Now
He really is the best.
I always like to say, just keep your expectations low and then you won't be disappointed.
Always.
Or keep your expectations low and then you'll really be wowed.
Right?
That's true. I like that twist on it, but then you won't get disappointed. Okay, so our main farming tool is SoCal Title Tools. It comes with a nice app. They all look the same, right? They've got the same feel on your desktop and on your app. What I always recommend is you create everything on the desktop, on your laptop, on the computer. You create your farm, you manage your farm there. But the app is so good when you're on the go. And if you need any data, need to access your farm, need to know anything about any of the properties, it's all right there on your app. It's not easy to create a farm in the app, so that's why we create everything we want on the desktop and then we move it over to the app. So kind of like Marlena said, we're going to talk about farming. Okay, we're going to talk about 3 different types of farmings that everyone should have a process with. And like she said, I used to kind of do this presentation and I would go to our website and I would say, you click on this button and you click on this button and then you click on this button. And I think it was just too much information. It went over everyone's head. And by the time you guys actually sat down to do it, you couldn't remember how to navigate the system. And that's negates the whole problem of getting you guys farming. So instead, what we like to do is we focus on what the tools can do, what kind of farming you can do. And then if you want it and you need it, then what we do is we set up your farm. Like Marlena said, we can do it one-on-one, we can do it in a group setting, we can do a farming workshop if there's a group of you that want to do it. Because our whole goal is that you actually have a farm, that you're farming, that you're getting leads, you're becoming a listing dominant agent, which is more and more becoming more relevant for you guys. And that's how we all succeed. It doesn't make sense just to share you tools and then they don't really use them. Kind of the analogy I make is I can show you how to hold a hammer and how to hit a nail, right? But if you don't know what you can build with that, then what's the point of knowing how to use a hammer? If you don't understand, you can build a house or a shed or a mansion or whatever it is. So that's kind of the analogy we use. 3 types of farming that are very important. I should have brought in my water. Okay, so there's 3 types of farming that I always encourage every agent to use, right? One is your just listed, just sold process, right? So what is your process around just listed, just sold? Do you have a process? Do you use something the same way every single time? And do you tweak that as you go along? Example would be, I get 150 email addresses. I'd send out a just or a coming soon, and then it just listed, then it just sold. I get 100 cell phone numbers for a voice drop. I go out and drop off 150 flyers. Whatever those consistent things are that work for you, I highly recommend you have that process. Niche farming, that would be things like going after NODs, defaults, deaths, divorces, anything that would be a life event that would cause someone that needs to move, right? A lot of people, this isn't 2021, right? That a lot of people have to move because of life events. They don't want to move because they have low interest rates that they got a few years ago. So that's going to be niche farming. And then becoming a listing dominant agent, becoming a local specialist in an area. That's the 3rd type of farming. I think that's, what do we call that? Geographical farming, kind of defining an area where you want to be and you want to be the top agent in that area. I always tell the story of my neighbor. She is a semi-retired real estate agent. The only thing she's done well, I would say, is she's very consistent in the same area for the last 15 years. And now she makes at least 100 grand a year in our farm, and that doesn't count whatever she makes elsewhere. Our community is only 600 houses, and that's how much she manages, and that's it. She's only been consistent, that's it. So defining that, becoming a local specialist, and again, we kind of came out of an era where we didn't have to do this. Leads came from all over, people were moving. But now in hindsight, we wish we had such an area, had something similar to this to where we were. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And what I like to do is break this down. Break down how our tools can help you in farming. The idea is to identify a farm where you want to work, set your goals, write those down, and then we have things that you can do about your farm. Now, if you do this correctly, it actually helps become almost like a business plan for you guys. It almost helps you know what you want to do when you come to the office on Monday morning. Know what you need to do this week. Know what you need to do this month. For all of you taking screenshots, I'll send this in a PDF if you want. So we can also send this out. And then if you work with me, I actually create a farm with you and then give you this guide with a mini business plan. But we break it down so you know what you're doing on a day-to-day, a week-to-week basis. Like Monday morning, I get to the office at 10 and maybe 11 or 12, and I check for NODs in my farm. And then I check for death and divorces in my farm. And then I check for NODs in my city, right? And then you know what marketing you want to be doing, what emailing you want to be doing. So that's kind of the idea with this workshop. Okay, so let's talk about some farms. This is an example of a farm. These are just farms I've been creating for agents along the way. And I just popped up a few to give you guys an example of what these farms look like. I've created these farms within probably the last 2 months. So this is pretty recent data. This is around Citrus Valley High School. Oh, thank you so much.
A festive Christmas cup.
Thank you, Marcia.
I really need like $20,000. I wish I would have brought unmarked bills. Yeah, Mark? No?
Not that one.
No. So this farm it's next to Citrus Valley High School in Redlands. There's 821 homes. The average sales price was $567. They had a turnover rate which was actually kind of high for now, right? 5.3%. They had 44 sales, 25 million in total sales, 750,000 just in listing commissions. So if you could capture 1 in 10 of those, you're at 75 grand a year. If you could capture 1 in 5 of those, you're at 150 grand, right? And that's kind of like the goal setting we want to create. Like you're going to pick an area, you're going to identify how much that area is worth in commissions and how much of a market share you're going for. I'm a big believer in writing goals down and what you want and maintaining that focus of what you're trying to create. This is Hunter's Ridge, the north side of it in, I don't know if that's North Fontana, like edge of Fontana and Rancho. This farm has 1,400 homes. Average sales price was $822. 29 sales, turnover rate is a little lower, 2%, about the same in sales and the same in commissions. And that's very typical with turnover rates. You know, the higher the kind of price point you guys get to, the less of a turnover rate we have, but they're more valuable homes, more commissions. I did that one already. Let's look at, well, that's a really nice one. I made this one for a lady that's 76 million in total sales and 2.2 million in listing commissions. That's the community she lives in Rancho Palos Verdes, but we all want that one. Okay, here's one in Claremont, pretty close to us, just north of the 210. So I actually broke this one down in 2 to give you guys an idea. So this one has 1,100 homes. Average sales price is 1.5 million. There's been 33 sales in 12 months, turnover rate of 2.3%, 50 million in sales and 1.5 in listing commissions, right? So if you could get 1 in 20, just 1 in 20 of the sales that were going on, that's 75 grand a year. If you could get 1 in 10, then you're looking at 150 grand in that farm, right? So yes, it's going to take a moment to get that first one and to get that second one. And then once you start picking up momentum, people start to realize, oh, you're the listing agent here. There's a real estate agent. She's so inspiring to me. She was a single mom of 5 kids and got into the business of real estate. And she marketed herself. She dominated an area. She was known as I think she called herself the South Ridge Specialist or something like that. Amazing, very successful, right? And you can see that it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot, but it does take consistency and creating a plan to work it. This one I cut in half just to show you the idea. So if we only took half the farm at 680 homes, that one was worth 20 million commissions, and still 1 in 10 gets you 60,000 and 1 in 5 gets you 121,000 a year. And then once you get that consistency, then you can do like what my neighbor said. I asked my neighbor, why did you pick her as your real estate agent? Well, I see her around a lot. I know she knows the area. I figured she was a good one, right? That's a lot of what this is. But it's about getting your area defined and getting you and your marketing out there. So first thing we do when we sit down is we identify a farm like this, create this farm for you. Then we do what I just had on those. We figure out how many homes have been sold, what the turnover rate is, what the total commissions are, and then you get to write your goal down and say, I want a 25% market share in here, right? So that's step one. And then we go about marketing and how the best way to market your farm, right? So there's many ways for you guys to do it. I think different agents take different approaches. Some things work for some agents, some things don't. But there are very simple things that are on the ground work. Don't cost you any money. They just cost you your time. So you can go out door knocking. You can put your signs out. Be very strategic. If you look at this farm here, that's worth $1.5 million. There's only 3 streets that even go into this farm. Everyone who leaves this neighborhood has to either drive this road, or this road. It takes 3 signs every Saturday morning and every Sunday morning for them to know who you are. That's it. Because everyone who has to leave to go to the store, if they have to leave to go anywhere, they drive by those 3 intersections. So be strategic. I met an agent in Downey who puts out hundreds of signs every weekend. He has people in a van that go out and do it for him. But that's a step in getting to know your branding, right? People getting to recognize your face, getting to recognize your signs. Even if you don't have a listing, you're still allowed to put a sign out if you want to. You don't have to have a listing in the area, as far as I know.
Jeremiah, let me add something really quick. And I know we all want that instant gratification of your farm, but remember, it takes 9 to 16 months to really be noticed in an area, in a farm. So the whole idea is to really hit it 3 weeks to 4 weeks at max and really keep something out there, meaning you're going to door knock, you're going to email, maybe you're going to make calls. But remember, it does take a while to be seen and noticed in that farm. And the more that you drop, like pads or whatever that has your information on it, the more you're seen and the more they keep and hold on to that stuff. So that's just something to keep in mind, 9 to 16 months.
Maybe just be a dumb question here, but like, you know how you mentioned you don't need a listing to put up a sign. Like, what kind of signs are you suggesting? You're just talking about like open house signs, or what kind of signs?
Well, if you don't have an open house, I wouldn't necessarily put it in an open house, but there's
Of course,
something.
yeah, like, not gonna send
There's a
somebody
house
over.
for sale, so you could be looking for buyers. You could be, there's different. You could still put your sign out for sure. Fine. I think it's just more about getting your one of the ways to get you out there, your branding out there. And it does take consistency. I want to re-emphasize what Marlena said, right? You may get one quick and early, and that's great, but it does take a while to build up to it. But again, the idea with this aspect of farming, and this is just one aspect, it is about that consistency. So the second thing we do is help get emails and phone numbers, right? Email campaigns, you can go through a system like KV Core or HomeBot. HomeBot's great. It actually shares with the client what the value of their home is and how much equity they have. So it's an awesome email that actually people want to know. We also get help phone numbers. There's different ways to go about phone numbers. There's cold calling, there's texting. Slide broadcast is a system where it does voicemail drop, so it's kind of less intrusive to the client. It just goes into their voicemail box. Our system is really good at identifying these life events, right? So if you are in a farm, and I'm just going to kind of pull up an example here for the city of Upland. Is Upland LA County? It's San Bernardino.
Anyone use slide broadcast? Amazing, right? So I have a lot of agents that prior to going into their open house weekend, they make calls surrounding that property address, letting them know, hey, this is Sonia. I'm going to be hosting an open house at 1234 Main Street right here in your neighborhood on Saturday from 12 to 3. Hope to see you. Come on by. I'd love to meet you. And it goes out to, that surrounding neighborhood around that property. And I think it's really cool that when you as the agent, when you're there hosting that open house, you have a conversation. Hey, how did you hear about me? As you do, right? And if this live broadcast is something that's helping, I think you all should implement it because I think it's a really great system.
And it's not
It's
expensive
not
at
expensive at
all.
Slide,
Yeah.
as in
Slide.
So cheap,
Slide.
$10.
SLY.
Yeah, for a decent amount of calls, yeah.
Oh, SLY.
Slide.
Yeah, it's right there. Slide broadcast, that's their logo.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay, so our system is really good at providing these life events that are happening for people, right? These are leads that are low cost. Notice of defaults cost you 5 cents. Notice of trustee sales cost you 5 cents. A divorce, a death is a little bit more. They're 50 cents. They don't happen very often, but these are like really just like low hanging fruit, right? Someone is in default. They have to do something, right? And defaults are on the rise. I just read an article yesterday that foreclosures are on the rise. There's been an interesting thing that's happening with foreclosures because people's values have maintained pretty well, right? So they're going into foreclosure. They still have equity in their home. They still have the opportunity to do something. And you would be surprised at how many homes actually still go to foreclosure, right? There's still a lot of people who don't realize that they have options. And what happens when they go to foreclosure? Well, they get sold to an investor who's paying probably 85 cents on the dollar. So that means about 10 to 15% of the value of the home is getting lost for that client. So I highly recommend that this is something to do. And then I often hear agents say, well, it's NODs, everyone's working NODs, right? But how many people are in here are working NODs consistently? Just one gentleman, right? And I was in an office a couple of weeks ago. There's about 30 agents in there. No one was working NODs, right? So I think it's one of those things as an agent, you think, well, other people are doing that. That's too competitive and you just let it slide, but it's not. But these are things you want to be first at. You want to be on top of, right? So again, it comes back to when we identify your farm, you definitely want to be the first one in your farm to identify if any of these life events are happening. But with NODs, it's something you can spread out a little farther. So if I had a farm here in North Upland, I would be working that farm, but I would also branch out into Upland and Claremont and Rancho and look for NODs. They're close enough for me to work. These are low-hanging fruit. I just did the last 2 months in Upland, and we have 6 properties that have had a notice of default filed, right? And those 6 properties cost you 30 cents to get that information. So it's cheap. It's just something you want to stay on top of. So creating that sort of niche inside your week-to-week work is just very important. I can't express that enough.
Jeremiah, of those 6, how many had phone numbers?
I didn't check. We'd have to buy them to see.
You'd like to see. Okay,
Phone numbers
so-
are only 5 cents.
Okay, so some of them, just keep in mind, of those 6, may not all have phone numbers, but you can also do, of course, a letter, mail out, or a door knock.
So how do you enter the phone numbers? They're like right there, or you can like?
That's where, what we have as far as the information is what they've obviously entered into the system. So it's kind of like even your dialers and everything that you find. I mean, there's working numbers and there's some that aren't working numbers. When I spoke to one of my agents who does do pretty regularly the NODs, it's probably like 50-50. as far as with the phone numbers, if they're good or not.
Yeah, because they use the deluge, and then like, give me like 4 or 5 numbers, so I have to like,
Yeah.
get it right.
Let's try this. There's this website I always share when you sit down with a farm, True People Church. You come in here, you put in an address. Mars address is 1519 Cole Lane.
Great.
Let's see what it pops up. I haven't done this before, so I
If
don't
your
know.
title rep don't answer now, you know.
There's Marlena. Okay.
You wanna know
Oh,
how
you
it is?
Is your phone number 909-816-7145?
Wow, very cute.
That's your phone number. Here's your current address.
What?
Oh, those are all my other addresses too, wow.
Your
Oh,
phone
no.
numbers, and
Don't
then-
look me up.
My
David
mom, my
Vance.
dad, wow.
Is that his phone number, 291-3570?
That's David, yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
there-
no,
Like,
dang.
it's not hard to find.
It's dangerous, guys.
This
that
is-
free, Caroline? Is that free or is it?
This is free. This is called True People Search.
I'm about to tell my people
Enter
about
my
that.
name or my address,
I
you
use
put my address.
fastfoodsearch.com. That's
Because you do my address, I see everything about you.
So you can look by client name. If you have a phone number and you don't know their name, or you can do an address search is what I just did on my land. It's free. And so like, even if you got a number, you paid the 5 cents, it doesn't work, there's other ways to go around and find it. I always share this site when we do our farming. It's the best one that I have found, but it's great. They try to get you to do, I think the way they make money is wanting you to buy like a background search or something like that.
But what you just did was free?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just put in the address and then that's what popped up. And it gives you everyone who used to live there or people who were associated with that address. TruePeopleSearch.com.
Wow.
Okay, so now when we get into our farming, right, a lot of, I think, things that hold us back is money. Is that correct? When everyone kind of thinks I don't have the money to spend on farming and mailers and all of that. And what I recommend when we do this kind of business planning and you set your goals, I think another thing that would be powerful is setting up your marketing goal too. Like, how much do you want to be spending on marketing? We set the goals. I showed you how much value those farms have. You can make 150 grand in your farm. Well, how much of that are you willing to put back into marketing? And your marketing dollars may only be $50 a month or $100 a month now, but the goal would be to be at 1,000, right? Like, you're making so much money that you want to be into marketing. And I think farming that's what the problem is. People think they have to spend thousands of dollars. Well, you don't. So what we like to do is break down your farm into subsections, and then you guys can choose how best to go about that. So one of the things our tools do is we create a next sellers list. So if you have a farm of 1,000 homes, you don't have to send marketing to all 1,000 homes. You don't have to spend $1 per flyer and spend $1,000. One of the lists our system creates is called next sellers. So what it does is it identifies your farm area and it says, look, the average homeowner stays in this farm 13 years. So then what it does, it gives you all the homeowners between 12 and 14 years, those that are following in that time frame. And so instead of sending out a marketing material to 1,000 people, you're sending it to 60, And since it's a smaller number, you can do handwritten notes, handwritten envelopes, you can go drop them off. There's different ways to go about that. But what we encourage is creating a plan when you go about this. So your next sellers list, maybe you work this for a quarter of the year. Maybe it's 3 months, or maybe it's 4 months that you kind of consistently work your next sellers list. After that, you can work an empty nesters list. So our list identifies all the homeowners who have been in their home for over 30 years. And maybe that's another subset list, sub-farm list that you could work on after your next sailors. You can break it down by owner-occupied, or non-owner occupied, and out-of-state owners. So all of these are ways to, and what's great about this is your marketing becomes more tailored towards whatever group you're kind of going for. And you could also do social media, right? So what's great about getting the phone numbers and the email addresses and this data and having a geographical farm is you can take that data, upload it into Facebook or Instagram, and you can just do target marketing just to those people. So a very powerful other way where they They may see your sign on the street, they may see your face on social media, they may see the flyer that you dropped off, and by that time, they know you're the person for that farm. So that's our farming in a nutshell. If we do sit down, what I like to do is identify a farm for you, give you this mini business plan where you kind of set your goal, and then you get to decide how much you're going to do or not, when you're going to put your signs out, what your email marketing plan is going to be, what your plan for phone numbers are going to be, how often you are going to look for life events and which ones you're going to look for and what area you're going to look for, and then what kind of marketing you're going to do as far as email marketing, social media, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very powerful system, and what it does is it actually helps you as an agent kind of have a guide for what you're going to be doing from a day-to-day to week-to-week basis. Yeah, and that's kind of our farming in a nutshell. And again, on these 3 types, if you're not doing them, I highly encourage them. All right, if you get a process created for just listed, just sold, find an area you want to dominate to become a listing dominant agent, and then get into that niche farming. Not a lot of agents are doing it, I promise. So, any questions?
Do you have marketing material? Do you guys have any marketing material like for notice of default or?
Like something that should be created to send out?
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure we could create some things through AI pretty freaking easily.
Yeah. I just wonder if you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually created something through there and it was beautifully done. So, yeah.
How do we get access to the site?
I just need your email address and your phone number, and that's it. And then we just create your site. You can actually, the easiest way too is you can just go to SoCalTitleTools.com. And then when you come here, let me log out. You just hit sign up right here, SoCalTitleTools.com, and you hit sign up. And you just put in your email address, phone, first name, last name. Marlene is your rep. So very simple. If you need any help, we can easily do that for you as well.
It's free?
The only thing you're paying for on this site, and this is a third-party site, so it's not even like paying to us, you're just paying for those NOD defaults or those divorces or your deaths. That's the only thing you pay for. You can come in here, you can get farming data, you can pull addresses, you can do around, you can circle prospect around it just listed, get all the properties, all that's free unless you want to get phone numbers or email addresses.
So we get the next sellers from Marlena, she sends that as soon as our listing closes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way, because obviously it doesn't come with phone numbers or email, is there a simpler way to import that to export more information or?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. What you would do is you would come in here to the system. I shouldn't have logged out. And then you would just come here. All you have to do is hit upload farm, and you just upload that sheet that you're given.
Yeah, she gave me, okay.
And then then this farm will be saved in here. So then you go under save farms. I probably have a next sellers list right here. So here's the next sellers list. Let me see. Marston's 50. So here's the next sellers list. You just hit select. And then you just hit premier data and then phone numbers. So it's really simple. It's like 4 or 5 buttons that it would take to do that.
Perfect.
And all this is worth remote
Or
or
send it back to me and.
Or don't say it like that. Send it to Marlena. She'll send it to me and I'll do it. It takes all
Just
the
CC
credit.
you.
Yeah. Oh, I'll do it for you.
She's
She's full of it. She's full of it.
Now you have full access.
You go bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
You're the main person.
Any other questions on this?
No, you said the phone numbers and everything through dialers, right? The basic dialers, like for the phone number.
So I think everyone's different in their approach of what they want to do. If I was running my farm personally and I was trying to do like a targeted area that I want to be a dominant agent in, I would not spam call. because I want to have a relationship with these people. I want them to look at me differently. So I would still get their phone numbers. I would just be different in the approach that I take, right? Maybe you look for the out-of-state owners and you send them a text and you say, hey, look, I'm just a local specialist in the area. I understand you live out of town. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you. Just let me know, right? Like, take a different approach that's not just spam call. Now, if you're just have a lot of numbers and you're in an area and you don't care, then sure, put them into a dialer. But with your farm, you're trying to nourish this thing. It's called farming because with farming, you plant seeds and then you have to weed and you have to water and then you get a harvest way down the road. And farming is actually a good role. You want to nurture this farm in a way. And so, yeah, I would be selective on how I go about going about that with numbers in my farm. That's just me though. And I don't know much, so.
All right.
Anybody want a donut?
Yes. So let me just tell you really quick how this all, the team came together here at SoCal. So a year ago, we came over to SoCal. I've been in this business for 35 years. I was introduced to Jeremiah many years ago when I met Lala at a local office. And as I was at my previous company, there was a company that they have a whole ecosystem set up where everyone involved is basically part of a philanthropic heart of some sort, right? And so when I joined forces with this company, I met Jeremiah, and Jeremiah had already been into title a little bit prior to coming to work with me. But more so, I was more involved and wanted to know more about what he does. And he is a creator, CEO of where I go to Mexico and we build homes together for Prosperity Homes. And this is the creator of this philanthropic work that we do. And so what we do is we go out to Ensenada and we go to a rural area in Ensenada. We go for 3 days. We go from Saturday to Monday and we physically build this house that looks like this Saturday and we are done on Monday. Wow. And these are families who have never had roofs over their heads, who sleep on the ground, just a lot of poverty. And we team up with another community out there called Baja Bound. And so together, Prosperity Homes and Baja Bound, we come and we build homes for families like this. And they migrate from southern Mexico.
That's a house right there with that blue tarp underneath it.
That's one of their homes. Yeah. And so the idea is these families or single moms, or I think the last one you guys built for that I didn't go to was a single mom with 3 kids. So picture that, right? And these are babies who have never had a bed to sleep on. And so we show up a little bit different as, yes, we love to work with you in title, but we also leave this open for you to come and experience building a house with us. We are as SoCal Title going to be sponsoring our own build in September 14th. So we've already got the dates picked out. So the 14th through the 16th, we will be here. And I'd love to have all of you join forces with me. It's beautiful. We eat wonderfully. We're in gated.
That's an understatement.
That is an understatement. We are in a gated community.
Which is right there, that picture is the gated community.
Here.
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful souls. They cook every meal for us. And we go, we build, we communicate, we were as a community. And yeah, this is what we do. So in September, Lala, I'd love to have you come up and kind of share your experience, because Lala's been with Jeremiah longer than I have, and they've built together in another country. Am I right?
Yeah, she went to Peru.
Oh, wow.
And Maria too.
You came to Mexico with us too, right? So she can share about the Mexico trip too.
Yeah, so I'll stand over here so
Okay.
I can. Yeah, so like Marlene said, thank you, Marlene, for this opportunity. So Jeremiah and I connected also with mutual friends of ours, which is Francisco Hara and Irene and Annabelle. You've heard their names throughout the community. But back in 2000, I think it was 2012, is when I was introduced to Prosperity Homes. And as a realtor back then, you know, we were hustling, bustling, making all this money, you know, just really focused on the real estate and corporate world. And I felt my heart being pulled, like, I wanted to do more. And, you know, we get that feeling we're just like going about life every day and just doing what we do best, earning all this money. But, you know, deep down in my heart, I knew I had to give back. We always feel that feeling that we have to give back. And I thought, how could I do that through the business and also be part of a community that is also like-minded, and just really go to a place where it's much needed. And so when I had the opportunity to join Jeremiah and the team and Prosperity Homes, the opportunity came to go to Peru. And it was around Thanksgiving. So this was the first time, it was in 2016, this was the first time that I told my kids and my family, I was going through my own transformation through my own personal experience, but I told my kids, you know, instead of having a Thanksgiving dinner with you, we're going to Peru to build a home. And I thought they were gonna like get on me about, oh, you know, you're not gonna be here and how could you leave us and everything. And they thought it was the coolest thing. I got their full support. But let me tell you, it was more about building a home. We went there thinking we're gonna help them, right? Like, oh, we're there to build a home, we're here to give back. But what I found out through my own journey was they were giving back to us. Like the love and the embrace that we received from them. I mean, whatever they had, they offered it to us. And I came to the realization like, wow, like I'm not really here for them. They're here for me. And it's just, it's more than words can describe. I can't even stand here and describe that feeling. And I'll tell you that journey, you know, and so many other things happened. We ended up going to Machu Picchu, and we had a beautiful spiritual, you know, transformation, experience, everything. But the main thing is we also did another trip to Ensenada with the children, with the orphanage through Prosperity Homes. And I'll tell you, to this day, I can still remember the smiles of the children. Yes. They embrace us. And that's what I learned. Those that have very little to give have the biggest hearts, have the biggest love. So I learned so much from that experience. So if you have an opportunity to join in September, you know, if you've never experienced anything like this, so you like to experience that, it's more than words can describe it. It's just, it'll change your life for sure. I'll tell you that. And it was very powerful. So when, you know, Marlene said she was going to share that today, I said, you know, I'm willing to share my experience. And so many other beautiful things happened through Prosperity Homes. And I'm standing here today, you know, now understanding how beautiful that experience was even more. Mm-hmm. Like it was definitely a blessing, definitely a gift that we received from, you know, being part of this. So anyways, take it as you may, but that was my experience, and that's why I felt it's very important to share experience, and not just what we earned, but giving back. You know, we're planting that seed for future generations and making a difference in someone's life. Like someone made a difference for us. Like I'm first generation here. I came from Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and here I am remembering that someone, you know, held out their hand for me as well. And so why are we not paying it forward? And that's the question that I always ask myself, why aren't we giving back, you know, more than we can? But anyways, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was perfect. That slide up there was perfect for what you said. Because the quote up there says, in true service, you don't know who's serving who. It's
I didn't see it.
Yeah. And so what you shared was perfect, because what we say all the time is like, you go down thinking, yeah, we're gonna go be in service, we're gonna go build a house, and then you come back and your life is pretty impacted, just like you said. So yeah, you're all welcome to join. September 14th, I think what we're gonna be doing is allocating like a few tickets to different agents and different offices, so that, you know, probably have access to a few here. If there's some of you that would like to join, please let us know.
Cool. Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you. Grab a donut on the way out. Yeah, Javier.